Well, good evening and welcome to the Brothers-in-law. And on this channel, we discuss police-involved incidents that occur around the country, and we give our analysis on the actions of those police officers to see if their actions are what a reasonable officer would do. We also look at the actions of the citizens to see if they have followed our acronym of CALM, which stands for comply, answer questions, listen, and move on, would their situation had turned out differently. Then you may agree or disagree with us, but by the end of these videos, it is our hope that you get a better understanding of how these incidents unfold. So if you're new to our channel, I was a Virginia State police officer for 7 years, and I'm a retired Navy Chief Petty Officer with 21 years of service. Mike, welcome.
Hey, good to be on. Good to be back. I'm Mike Bradley. I'm a retired patrol officer, police officer from Northern California, a city called Pleasanton, for 26 years. And I'm also a veteran, Army veteran of 6 years, Army veteran. So very good to be back. What's going on in the world today, Corey? You know, that's what it's about. Always something.
Yeah.
Something in the policing world that's going on. I'm seeing a lot of little videos that pop up here and there. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I noticed that one video. We're not gonna show the video, but today, but it was a video of I think it was a sheriff's deputy pulling over a police officer. Both of them marked cars, both of them in uniform. That was like bizarre to me.
Yeah.
You know, stuff like that. It's just like, what in the world is going on?
I will say though, that does happen.
Yeah, I guess so. Back in, especially back in that part of the country, because that deputy pulled that police officer over like he had done it before. So
right. I mean, it was two different departments too. I mean, that was the deputies and the city cops. So
yeah,
but it does happen. You just don't hear about it. I mean, you probably hear about things like that a lot more now because of all the social media and everything. But yeah, that's definitely one we'll definitely have to talk about that one because I do have some comments on that, a couple stories to share with that as well. But you know, tonight we do have a really good show. And really boils down really to communication and how communication breaks down between the dispatch and the information flowing to the police officers. And this show is about, you know, cops showing up to the wrong house and shooting a family dog. And this occurred a couple weeks ago back in Waco, Texas. You know, it's a sad situation. You know, just thinking it's just a dog, right? But if you're an animal lover like myself, you know, that animal, that dog is part of your family. So, you know, it may not be a big deal to the average citizen, but to an animal lover, that life of that dog was part of the family. So now they have a void in their lives now and in their hearts now because now their dog is no longer with them. So we're going to talk about that, Mike, and see, you know, how this could have, well, one, how did it happen, and two, you know, what steps could be taken to ensure something like this doesn't happen again. And if you're a homeowner, what's some of the things that you could possibly do to, you know, now what's the next course of action that you need to take in regards to your pet? You know, are there legal actions and things like that that you can take in that? So but before we get into the video, like always, you're new to our channel, like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Go ahead over to the merch shop. We got the link down below to myspreadshop.com. Pick up a nice little t-shirt, help support the brothers-in-law. Message out of staying calm, which stands for comply, answer questions, and listen, and move on. Let's go ahead and get into this. Welcome everybody. I see some of you, a lot of you jump on afterwards after this has already been recorded and posted. So welcome everybody. Thank you for this, and please drop your feelings on this, and let's. Jesus love you. See you on here early tonight. What's up, my brother?
I see you. I see Stacy. I see you, Tone. I see you.
I did break it down a little bit. You want to go a little more in detail to it while I set this up?
Yeah, I mean, basically, these officers, some of the things I want people to remember is when you call the police, you don't directly speak to an officer necessarily. Okay, it goes to a police dispatcher first. The dispatcher is the one who takes all the information that is given to them, and then the dispatcher puts that out to the officer. So it's the police dispatcher who dispatches that officer to that call, which includes the location, the address, what's going on in the call, as many details as they could possibly have. They're dispatching the officer. So most of the time, the officer is not getting his information directly from the source. He's getting it from the police dispatcher. I want everybody to remember that because that's important. A lot of people say, "Oh, okay, well, they didn't say that address." Well, the dispatcher said that address. Maybe the dispatcher got it wrong, but the officer responds to the house that the dispatcher is telling them to respond to.
Right. And usually in those notes, there's a lot of information in the notes. You try to read the history on it to see who the caller was and things. And I think we might have spoke on something like this before, Mike, as well as times contact information in there with the caller's name and number, and then sometimes the officer can call them and information. Does that always happen? No. Do we know that was the case in here? No, because we don't have to that transmission between dispatch and the officer. In the notes that might have been there, but the information,
bad connection issues on my
that
side.
they have. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you. It's a lot of freeze frame going on. Bear with us, folks. But yeah, okay, I can hear you now.
Okay. All right. So there's a lot of information that's continuous, ongoing, and so the officer has to react on what they have at the moment. So this was a call for a break-in, an active burglary in progress. You'll hear some of the transmission in here. The caller is on with the dispatch and getting the address, and then apparently there was that autocorrect. They'll say the address, but it was A Street, like Bravo Street, Charlie Street. So it was A Street. Well, autocorrect, which we all know on these stupid phones, even in the computers, when the computer doesn't recognize that.
Froze up on them. When the computer doesn't recognize that transmission, it'll autocorrect, which it's my understanding they trying to take that off of their system, because in my opinion, it shouldn't be on a computer aided dispatch system. You know what I mean? But I guess it was on this part.
Right. So that's where it is. That's where it starts at, and we'll play it out from there. Of course, this is graphic, so just be advised of that, and we're gonna get it going.
Hopefully, hey, I see you on here.
I don't think there's no commercials in here, Mike.
Okay.
One, can you please fire EMS? Waco 911.
Somebody just kicked my door in.
What's your address?
I'm at 30 State Street.
I'm not trying to hit you.
I will, Daddy. Please come now.
I'm coming. I got officers on the way, okay?
So they get to the house that was dispatched to them. Just so happens, you'll watch what happens. But
welcome everybody that's watching us over on Facebook.
And some of these rural addresses can be funny. You know what I'm saying? Some of these houses be all covered in trees and stuff. You don't know what's what. We gonna get into that. Bubba Buck, Delando, I see you on here.
Back door, like cracked open.
Mrs. Taylor, I see
Is there a
you.
way to get this around it?
No, you can't. You want to jump in a whole cover and you hold it and we'll leapfrog over?
Yeah.
So they get to a house and they see the back door is open. And to call the lady,
Right.
remember, the lady says somebody kicked in her door. Yeah, call like
Again, they're
that. I'm
going to the
going with
address
gun.
that they had.
Gotcha.
Yeah, a call like that.
Yeah.
I'm going with my
Yeah.
gun drawn too.
Absolutely.
Waco Police Department. Easy, puppy. Back up. Hey. Dog back here. Easy, puppy. Easy, puppy. Easy. Yeah, I hit that. I'm sorry. I hit. We got a call that somebody's working. Yeah, and the dog just came after me.
I'm gonna sleep. My dogs are fine. They're really nice.
Okay. We'll call them in and we'll get around. Go ahead.
We're 10-4 in the backyard for now. Taser deployed on
Yeah.
the hog.
Well, we got a call that somebody was breaking in and it was just unknown. So that's why we were back here. The door's wide open and it don't look good in our situation.
All right. So yeah, what he just said, Mike, was important. That was very suspicious for them, and it didn't look good.
No,
Right?
no.
Even though, you know what I mean, they're going off of what they had. Now, in a situation like that with just two people, I probably wouldn't have made entry. I probably would have just, hey, you watch the back, I watch the front, and let's get more units here to set up a better perimeter and then gain entry in. That way you got the front cover and the back cover, and then, maybe try to make voice contact, see if there's anybody in there, and try to reach out to the homeowner instead of trying to go right in. Looked like they were going to go and try to make entry into the home. That's just me tactically thinking. I probably wouldn't try to make entry in. I would just set the perimeter till we get more people out there on hand, and then try to establish contact with whoever might be in it, because the suspect, if they were there, if this was the correct house, may still be in there.
Yeah, that's true. But you also got to look at the other aspect too. I understand that, but you also got to look at the other aspect too. Is maybe what if they called back and she wasn't able to answer the phone, and then you kind of force maybe it's an emergency situation where you got a cover unit there, and you might need to try to open the door or check welfare or something along those lines too. I can understand the decision to yell inside the door, you know what I'm saying? But I also can understand the tactic of holding off, getting a view on the house, and getting more units. But that wouldn't have stopped them dogs from coming out.
No, they wouldn't have stopped the dogs from coming out. Now, so what do you do as an officer and you're in that situation? Do you let the dog just, charge you and bite you? Or do you tase them or do you shoot them? And I think that, it's a tough situation to be in.
Yeah.
What's the right answer? Is there a right answer? Is there a wrong answer? You're in that situation. You're that officer. What do you do? And this is the question to the viewers. What do you do? Was there time for him to transition and go to the taser? Or, did he overreact, Mike? like in some of these shootings that we've seen over time.
Well, we all know what kind of damage a dog can do, especially like a pit bull or something like that. And I don't know if this dog was a pit bull or not, but
I was a black Labrador.
okay. So it came out there aggressive and was coming at the officer growling. I'm not gonna let a dog bite me and chew me up. So I'm probably gonna shoot the dog myself if that's what I had in my hand at the time.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
And you gotta keep in mind, you don't know that dog. So like I read in the article, how they were saying that the dog was friendly, he wasn't aggressive, he was just trying to see who they were. Well, I don't know that.
That dog came out pretty aggressive and growling though.
Right.
You know
I don't know. I don't know your dog. And I don't know, how you train them. Just like, we have a pit bull, right? And most people have that concept that pit bulls are vicious dogs. Well, some of them are, but ours isn't. Because how we raised them. So, but if you're a cop coming here and he growls at you, your natural instinct is probably going, oh, it's a pit bull. He's going to kill me or hurt me really bad. So I'm going to shoot. When you find out, oh, no, he's a lovable dog. He ain't going to hurt nobody.
True.
You know what I mean?
True. But it's all about the perception of that officer at that moment, at that second, when he saw that dog at that time. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The question really is it reasonable for this officer to assume that this dog was going to hurt him? Is it reasonable? I think so. I mean, my personal opinion, I think it was reasonable for him to think that dog was coming at him, because that dog came out aggressively growling at him and was like charging towards him for until he shot. Now, I think if you heard it correctly, I think the other officer ended up tasing a dog too.
Yeah, he ended up tasing the dog. Yeah.
I don't know if it was the same dog.
I thought it was well, we had the second body cam footage.
Oh, okay.
Of a different angle. So
she had like 5 dogs that came out there, but that black dog seemed to be more aggressive than the other ones.
Right. I probably would have shot too, depending on. I mean, you had to cover, so he had his taser out. It was only right that you have your weapon out. I mean, you again, that I would look at it as if somebody was trying to charge me with a knife.
Yeah, dog can hurt you. A dog can hurt you.
Right, a dog can hurt you, and we know certain dog. Well, and again, this wasn't that type of dog. I mean, we can only speculate. But again, any dog charging at me while I'm in the performance of my duty like this, I may have to act accordingly. That dog may get shot. As much as I would not want that to happen, but I'm not going to let it. I'm not going to suck it up and say, oh, well, he's just a dog, so I'm just going to let him bite me. No.
Yeah, that ain't happening. For sure that's not
going on. And, now you're hurt. Now you're down one officer.
Right.
And you have an ongoing threat inside that house. Right.
Now, keep in mind, folks, they don't know that they are at the wrong house yet.
They don't know that yet. No.
They don't know that yet. They're treating this like this is the house they're supposed to be at. They saw a back door that was ajar, okay, which coincides with what kind of call they're responding to. Woman said somebody was kicking her door in, okay? Mm-hmm. So they get to a house that they think is the right house, okay, and they see the back door open. So it's reasonable for them to assume that they are at the right houses. They went to the house that they were dispatched to. It turns out that the house that they were dispatched to was the wrong house, but dispatch gave them the wrong answer, the wrong information.
Address. Yeah,
right, the wrong address. So you gotta look at the dispatcher and say, okay, they made a mistake and they sent us to the wrong house. Which why, Corey, it's extremely important a dispatcher's job, because like you say, most of the time they're the first ones to get that information.
Right.
And if it's a serious call, like somebody just kicked in my door and they're burglarizing my house or they're going to hurt me or whatever it is, it's very important that the dispatcher sends that officer to the right house, because these officers are going to this house already kind of amped up. They're already kind of thinking that they may confront something more serious, something dangerous.
Right.
So they're already in that mindset.
Right. They are going to be amped up. And so their situational awareness is not going to be if they were just going to a regular, maybe a welfare check.
Right.
Not so aggressive. That's why they're going to this, guns drawn. And I think my only real hiccup afterwards, and we'll see here in a second, is the lack of care.
So I know what you mean. What you mean.
Yeah. Stacey said, did the officers make it to the correct house?
Some other
they did.
I think after the fact they did finally get to the right house.
Yeah.
Some other officers though that went to the right house.
Right. It was other officers. Let's take a look at the rest of this, and then we'll get a look at also the second body cam on here and see what happens.
That's why we're here. When the dog charged me, so I shot it at the black one. I don't know where.
You shot my dog?
The black one.
Gun?
Yeah, it's still over there.
The black dog's over here
Okay.
You shot my dog with the gun?
with a taser.
Huh?
Taser.
Who? No, I shot it, bro.
You shot him?
I shot it.
See, the other officer didn't even know that he shot the dog. Because
Right.
the other officer used a taser.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I think he was thinking he used a taser.
Yeah.
But at this point, my only problem is the lack of concern. It's like, yeah, bro, I shot it.
Yeah, it seemed like, if anything, I would have been like, ma'am, I had to shoot your dog. Can we go and I need to look at this dog to make sure it's okay? You know what I'm saying? I would have been more, like you said, Corey, a little bit more compassion behind. I just shot this woman's dog. Okay. We need to do something about that. We need to take some care about that. You know what I'm saying?
Right. I mean, at this point, is it really much that you can do for the dog? I mean, you can try to administer first aid to the dog, but the best thing to do is hurry up and get it to the vet.
Right.
But I think, hey, like you said, Mike, hey, ma'am, yes, I shot your dog, XYZ reasons why. We need to go take a look at it. So I'm not going to go approach that dog myself and not know, because the dog just try to charge me. So now it's wounded. It may still be. I'm not going to go rush right on over to the dog.
I could see that.
But I think in what you had just said, it would be the correct way to do it. Go over there with the homeowner and try to give the dog some aid. But I also think too, let's see here too. I think the dog gets up and runs away.
Supervisor coming?
Yeah.
All right. We got a supervisor coming, man.
Yeah, I
said we got a supervisor coming. I'm sorry, but
I mean, the damage is done at that point. It's not much.
Hey,
ain't nothing you can say to make her feel better.
We need a supervisor here. I shot a dog. We get here caught out in the back door, and like 6 dogs ran out of us, and I shot one of them like in the back.
From call notes, this is our original call, and then they corrected to 28.
Yeah, the dog. Well, as far as I know, the dog's alive. It was in the house.
Around,
so
I go one side, Mo goes the other. He sees open back door. We go to the back door and kind of pie around.
For the viewers' sake, that dog.
The owner's here. The owner's here.
What you say, Mike?
For viewers' sake, that dog ended up dying at the hospital, at the vet.
Yeah, and see what they're talking about now. Obviously, the supervisor just rose up and they're updating the supervisor what happened, and they just stated that as far as they knew, the dog is alive because they saw it get up and run into the house. But yeah, you're right. The dog did later die, and they said because of the injuries and the age of the dog, they went ahead and put the dog down, and the dog succumbed to its injuries. So the dog, I thought we would get to that part, seeing the dog get up and run away. But the second officer, he does tase one of the other dogs, and that's why he was confused, because all he heard was the big pop sound, like the tasers make, sound almost similar to a gunshot. So he didn't know. So that's why he didn't go over there. But nonetheless, I think you need to still give it the same level of care as if you shot a citizen. I mean,
Yeah.
that's just my opinion. What you say?
I agree. I agree with that because you got to be tactful, and like you say, you don't know how she's going to react. Number one. Number two, Goat makes a good comment. I don't think there's nothing that he's going to say that's going to make her feel any better, and it is what it is. That's true, but you still got to show that you are taking actions to, is the dog okay? You know what I'm saying? Let's get the dog to the vet. Once you realize that this is not the house you're supposed to be at, you know what I'm saying? And it's that scene is made safe. Now you can, think about the dog and be a little bit more compassionate. That's all.
Yeah, I mean, just be a little more compassionate. If I had anything negative really to say about that, would be just that part of it. Yeah. I mean, I know he didn't want to have to shoot that dog, but then I mean, you're left with a quick decision that you have to make. You know what I mean? Yeah. Shoot or don't shoot. You know, and that's how fast. A lot of times, folks, officer has to make that decision. Well, who's going to get hurt, me or this dog? Who's going to get hurt, me or this citizen? And the officer has to make that decision that quickly. Did he have enough time to transition to get to his taser? Probably not. Probably not. I have a tool right here in my hand, so why not use that tool? Right. He's being aggressive. He's coming out at me. I need to make sure that I don't get hurt. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's sad but I don't want to say it is what it is, but it's sad that this situation had to happen, and they're hurting from this. The family is, according to the article, since this happened, the family hasn't been eating or getting much sleep, and it's sad. I mean, again, this dog was part of their family. Yeah, and my heart goes out to him because we're dog owners as well, and I couldn't imagine anything happening to our dog like that. But it's important. Now, my other question is, how well is the home address displayed in these types of neighborhoods?
I was just gonna get into that. I was just gonna get it because that's important. This is something that I used to preach all the time when I used to be a part of the neighborhood watch program, the crime prevention unit, when I was an officer. In that unit, what our responsibilities was to basically teach the citizens how to prevent crime. Things, give them advice, pointers, things like that. That was among the many responsibilities. And one of the things I used to say is, your address is very important. How your address is displayed on your house. Is it visible? Is it lit up? Is it clearly visible so an officer can see that address from the street? Like if I'm driving by your house, can I clearly see your address? That's important. And a lot of people, they put that address, they get that service where they paint their address on the curbside. Well, that's all fine and dandy until somebody parks in front of that number and they can't see the curbside. The most important is to have your address clearly visible both at night and in the daytime on your house at eye level, so that if I'm driving as an officer, I'm driving in a patrol car on the street and I'm looking for your address. That's what I'm looking for, your address. And I want to be able to clearly see that. If it's an emergency situation, if your address is not clearly visible, that's going to slow you down. That's going to slow the response down.
Yeah. And I have made that mistake going to the wrong house. And it's sometimes it's the names of the streets and the way the streets are set up. And sometimes, you're maybe on the right street, the name street, but the number doesn't match. Right. And so like, I know this is Smith Avenue, but it's 901, but this is the 901. For example, even our house address, there's a 111 Station Drive and there's a 111, I don't know what the street behind us is. There's a 111 over there as well. So we get each other's mail. So But our addresses are, you got it on the house, and then you got it on I think it's on our mailbox as well. And then they also come out and put it on the ground on the curb. So, you know, you gotta make sure it's visible. So if you got bushes around, make sure those are trimmed up so it is visible and it can be seen from the street. You know, it happens though, Mike. I mean, it happens. I don't know really any kind of way that you can fix that. I mean, I don't know if there's a way to get rid of the autocorrect when you're putting in these street addresses and they don't vibe with the computer when you're typing it in, and you know, automatically autocorrect. I mean, maybe you can cut the autocorrect off. I don't know.
I don't know. They need to fix that part, because if this happens too much for that reason, then they need to do something about that.
But I mean, that's a computer error. I mean, but then but the officer still is going to be held accountable for, because at the end of the day, he pulled the trigger. Now the question is, Mike, is there any legal actions you think that this family can take?
Anybody can sue anybody for anything. Doesn't mean they're going to win.
That's true.
They can. This is a country where if you choose to sue somebody, you can sue them. You know what I'm saying? So they probably will sue the police department. If their dog died. So we don't know what happened in this particular case, but I'm sure they could go and sue the city because your officers came to the wrong house and they shot my dog. That's basically what happened.
You took a life. Yeah, Miss Brenner, they could use a Garmin navigation system. We have them in it, but then we know sometimes those ain't right. They can take you to the wrong place as well, the wrong street, and you know you're a block off or whatever. That happens too.
Especially in those rural areas out in the country. They're notorious for not being able to know what that address is, because these houses be all back up in the boonies in the woods. Okay, all kind of shrubbery and trees around. The address that was on the house is probably all dirty and covered up, and you can't even clearly see it, especially at nighttime. You know what I'm saying? You can't even see it.
Yeah, it's really bad at nighttime. You know, one time's going to do a death notification at nighttime and walked up to the wrong house. Well, I knew it wasn't the right house, but I was trying to find the correct house, and I just trying to figure out where this house is. And the guy's like, "Oh yeah, it's one more block down, and then to the right, it's you." People always miss it, and I was like, "Okay, man, I think I don't mean to, you know, frighten you or anything like that. You know, you're a cop. When here in Virginia, when a state trooper comes up to your door at night, it ain't good, right? That's the first thing you think of. What's going on? Why is a trooper up at my door?" Right. And then really any law enforcement come to your door like that, you always magically start thinking for the worst. So, but you know, back to the addresses though, I mean, it's important to make sure it's visible. But as it happens, I mean, I wish there was a really good reason that you know we can or explanation that we could come up with to say that these things, you know, aren't going to happen anymore.
No, it'll happen again, but like you say, that's the way to cut down on that. Number one is make sure your address is clearly visible on your house. You know what I'm saying? Because if I get there, even if I'm dispatched to a 1326 Black Street, but I get to what I think is 1326 Black Street, and clearly you have the numbers on your house that's 1324, then I know no matter what I thought I was, it's the wrong house. You know what I'm saying? So it's important to do stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Have them trees cut down. I mean, trimmed up. Have those hedges trimmed so that you could see stuff like that. Lights on the outside of your house at nighttime is important. You know what I'm saying? Just safety stuff like that. You know?
Yeah, safety stuff. But then, you know, my heart goes both ways in this. I mean, the officers are put in a bad situation, and they only have to react on the information they had and what they seen, which matched up to what they got in the call for service, which having that back door ajar. So to them at this point, they're at the right place.
Yeah, their mind at the right place. You know what I'm saying? And unfortunately,
Right,
it had
bro.
to happen before they realized they were at the wrong house.
Yeah.
But that still happened.
But could they have done
right
more? Could they have done more to make sure they're at the correct address themselves?
Yeah, confirm it with dispatch, confirm the house they're on, maybe try, you know what, like you said earlier, you could have dispatch called into the house, call the RP back and say, do you see my officers out in front of your house, or do you hear them out in the back of your house? You know what I'm saying? That's something you could do, assuming that RP is still available to answer that phone. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I'm curious to know what the end result of the RP was. You know what I'm saying? Because other officers responded to that call to the right house and dealt with that call. And I'm curious to know what that was about. Because first thing I thought when I heard the RP was, she sounded pretty calm on the phone for somebody who just kicked in her front door or kicked in her door. She sounded kind of calm on the phone explaining that. But I wonder if what happened with that,
Yeah, like I say, they ultimately did end up over there, but by the time they got there, I guess that suspect was long gone. Once they figured out that they were at the wrong address. But yeah, they've been interested to know what that conversation was. Yeah. So for me, I kind of want to make sure that, hey, this is how we fix this. Like, let's just get that person on the phone who's the call. Like you said, Mike, do you see my office outside? No. Oh, we at the wrong spot. It happens a lot. It's just now, again, with social media, that these things are becoming more rampant now. And as if it's, these are brand new, types of situation that just started happening. No, these been happening for a very long time.
Well, especially if now you got that what they call swatting and stuff going on, where someone will prank call the police and say something serious is going on and send them to a particular house. Turns out that's not even the case, or it was a prank call. But officers will respond to that call as if it's real until they determine it ain't. You know what I'm saying? So it happens. I've done it myself. I responded to a call, and lo and behold, I realized I'm at the wrong house. I get to the front door, and they're like, "You at the wrong house." It happens. It's an honest mistake. You know what I'm saying? We like to think it don't happen as much as it does. You know what I'm saying? I don't think it happens that much, but it does happen, and it probably will happen again.
Like I said, I mean, you can try to use more technology, but nothing beats getting that person back on the line and making sure you're at the right address. Like I said, sometimes in the notes you may have a callback number in there that the officers can call. Hey man, we are here at the location. Are you still in there? Are you safe, or whatever the case may be?
Yeah.
Possibly they could have done something like that.
Call it back, get a status of what's going on. That could have solved that problem real quick if they would have done that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but it's easy to go to the wrong house. Yeah, he said he did it plenty of times delivering pizzas. Yeah, I mean, it's a flawed system that we're using technology, and it's always something wrong that can throw it off, and you put the wrong address in, and you end up at the wrong spot, and hey, sometimes somebody might get a free pizza out of it. Take this pizza. I'm glad of driving around. But it's a situation that we do take serious. It's embarrassing, I will tell you, to show up at the wrong address when you're doing a call for service or whatever the case may be. It is embarrassing to show up at the wrong place. And then try to unscrew yourself and get the get the correct address and get your hind parts over there to handle that call for service. But you know, what can you do? You know, I'm just, I mean, if this happened to you, Mike, I mean, how would you be looking to sue, or I mean, how would you feel as if you were this lady?
If I was the lady,
Yeah.
I would be feel the same way it seems like she felt. You know, you came to the wrong house. Why are you guys in my backyard or whatever it is? I would have questions. And the fact that you shot my dog, that part, the shot the dog part, you gotta take your emotions out of that part, because if the dog comes out in any situation, if your dog comes out and charges someone who you don't know, and they happen to have a gun in their hand, and you know your dog might get shot. You know what I'm saying? But doesn't mean I wouldn't be upset about it. I'd be upset these cops came to the wrong. They were number one, they were at the wrong house and they shot my dog. You know what I'm saying? My dog died. Yeah, I probably have an issue with that and sue the city for that. You know, as much of a mistake as it is, it still needs to be. There should be something done to where, you know, that doesn't happen again. Obviously.
Yeah, Stacy, they in fact did pick up the bill. For these folks, they picked up the vet bill, but like the lady said, I mean, and they've apologized, and they're not hearing that it means nothing to them right now. Yes, Miss Brenda, the dog did lunge at one of the officers, and that's why he shot the dog. Yeah, it was me. I mean, as an officer, as a former officer, and if this would happen, I'd be pissed. But at the same time, I probably definitely wouldn't have no hatred toward him. I mean, I know, but he's just doing his job, and I know if I were him, I probably would have shot too.
I wouldn't have no hatred or nothing like that. That's far, right. You know, too far off that's going off the deep end. But I understand a mistake was made by the police. Okay, like Bubba Buck said, I'm suing the city because you killed my dog. I'm suing the city for that.
Yeah.
Okay, and hopefully you guys have something in place to make sure this doesn't happen again. You know, but you gotta understand. And you gotta understand.
Well, like Bubba Buck said, I mean, these animals are your family. They're your family, right? Mm-hmm. And they treated this dog as one of their kids, and so I'd probably seek some type of legal action, 100%. You know what that looked like. I mean, am I seeking millions? No, I won't be seeking no millions. But I mean, what's the cost? I mean, do you weigh it on the same level as a child? You know, that's between the big heads to argue that, the lawyers and the cities to argue that point. But yeah, I would probably be looking at a lawsuit, honestly, myself as well, if it were, and rightfully so. You know, but you have to get it right. That's why policing is a great profession. I love it, but it has its moments where you're like, God, dog, man, I don't know if I want to do this anymore. Right? It's yes, ma'am. The dog, Miss Brenda, the dog did die. It succumbed to its injuries. And ultimately dying. So, and the family now is looking at a possible lawsuit to sue them. Tone says, according to the law, pets are treated as personal property and can only sue for market value. Is that just in California?
Now, Tone might be right on that.
I never heard.
It could be just a California thing, but that makes sense because pets are considered property. They're not considered people. Mm-hmm. So I can understand. I mean, well, you'd have to talk to an attorney for that, but for civil suits. But I think you're right, Tone. You can only sue for what the value of the property would be. But nonetheless, she's suing. She should sue. She has a right to sue. And
Yeah,
it is what it is.
Bubba Buck, a taser was deployed. That was the second
Uh-huh.
officer. He tased one of the other dogs. I'm thinking they're looking for some type of compensation for that as well, because that dog, I believe, received some injuries as well from being tased. Uh, but yeah, if they treat it like property, I don't know if they do that here. That's a good question. I'm gonna have to research that here to see how they would look at it, and it makes sense. And being that Virginia is a Commonwealth state, they probably just looking at it as property. Might be right, because we got to pay taxes on the dog. So
yeah, just like if you broke a window, you got to pay for the value of the window or the damage it or however much it took to replace that window. You know what I'm saying? I think a pet is looked at the same way.
yeah, go. You're probably right. Nowadays, you might have a guy like Crump take to the races. Maybe they might have somebody on standby to do this. So who knows? Miss Brenda says she had 2 wet breeds. Yeah. This was a black Labrador, I think it was, and then I don't know what the other dogs were. They had like, what was it, like 6 or 7
yeah,
dogs?
actually, it's like 5 or 6 dogs that ran out the
dogs.
house towards at that moment. It's just that the black dog was a little bit more aggressive than the other dogs. So that's what happened.
Yeah. Yeah, he was pretty aggressive, man. But again, could this officer not know dogs? Like, we used to have a golden retriever, and he was definitely not an aggressive dog. He was a cupcake. But he would come up to you and be curious. But I don't think he would like ever charge and run at you like he was going. Now Bam Bam would. He gonna run at you. But he wants to play. So if he comes at you, that's because he wants to play, unless he senses a threat. And you would tell that by the way he barks at you. Like, you need to back away. Or I'll pick up on it and I'll snatch him up and put him up if I know, if he senses he doesn't like you or something like that. But in this case here, maybe it may help more that you know about dogs a little bit more when you come up. Don't have that knee jerk. Maybe be more in the ready. Put your arm up. Try to show yourself that you're not a threat to that dog, and put your hand out and let him sniff you. And maybe he would.
But if that dog come at me growling, and I'm not gonna say I'm not gonna shoot it if that's what I have at that moment at that time. I mean, no matter what kind of dog you got, I know the owners know that dog, but I don't know that dog. So if that dog comes at me in an aggressive fashion, like it's getting ready to chomp on me, I'm not gonna allow that to happen. You know what I'm saying?
No.
I'm one of those dudes though. I got a dog, but I'm one of those dudes that is big to me. If you at a park or something with your dog, or you out in public, you need to have your dog on a leash, because I know you're convinced that your dog ain't gonna do anything, right? But I'm not convinced. So if the city ordinance is you have to have your dog on a leash in public, which here in my city it is, then you have to have your dog on the leash. And a lot of people they have those dogs on a leash, but it's those retractable leashes where it goes out 30 feet, right? Well, that's not control.
Yeah.
You have to have your dog on a leash to the point where you are able to control it. If your leash is 30 feet long, well, that ain't controlling your dog. It's too far away from you for you to control it. So,
right.
I'm big on that. I know we're getting off the subject here a little bit, but I'm big on, people controlling their dogs when they're out in public. On your own property, that's different. But when you're out in public, don't take your dog to the park and have him run in the open grass when my kids are playing or other people's kids are playing. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? You gotta, because we don't know your dog. You swear up and down your dog ain't gonna do this and ain't gonna do that. It's a puppy. It's nice. It loves kids or people, whatever. That's beside the point. You know, you gotta control your dog. Period.
Yeah, you got to control it, and I think that's pretty broad across the country that you have to have your dog on a leash when you're out, like you said, a controllable leash while you're out. Because I'll say something. Hey, you can put your dog on a leash because they'll out here walk the dog down the street, and I don't care how mannerable you think your dog is and how well control you got over that dog. Law stipulates you got to have that dog on the leash, and so you need to do that. But yeah, I shoot my dog because he'll want to run and sniff and play with everybody. So we make sure when he goes out, we got him on that leash, and I got him tight because he likes to walk you instead of you walking him.
I got a miniature poodle, and he liked to run up to everybody. He ain't gonna hurt you. At least I've never seen him hurt anybody. You know what I'm saying? But he liked to run up to, I gotta make sure when I let him out in the front yard, I gotta make sure he don't take off with somebody walking on the sidewalk, because he will run up to you. He'll run up to everybody he sees to sniff you. He might even put his front paws on you he wants to play and wants to sniff you. He's curious, like you say, Corey. You know what I'm saying? But I understand you got to control your dogs no matter what breed you have.
Froze up, Mike.
And all that. You got to control them. That's all.
Yeah, right, Miss Brennan. He got teeth. He can bite. I'm not trying to get bit. I ain't trying to get bit. So that was a good show tonight. I think it was very informational. Very important to make sure we had the right addresses out on our house, so that when law enforcement come to the houses, that they're at the right house. And police need to do their part as well, Mike, to ensure that they're getting the right information to ensure that they're coming to the right house. So if you like this video, please hit that like and share, subscribe buttons for us right now, and share this out to one person that you think will find this video interesting, and have them comment on it and subscribe to our channel. We want to thank everybody first and foremost for watching us. We've grown a lot over the last couple of years, and we're up to 191 subscribers now. The goal is to get to 200 by the end of summer. So help us out, share this video out to everybody that you think that would find these types of topics that Mike and I talk about. Share it out with them, your loved ones, and help us keep growing this channel and keep doing great things and helping and educating folks on interacting with law enforcement and how these incidents unfold through the use of the acronym CALM, which stands for Comply, Answer Questions, Listen, and Move On. I'll also put this link to this video in the description down below after we're done here. So you can check it out at your leisure. But again, we just want to thank you all for your support thus far for us, man. We greatly appreciate it. And Mike, you get the final words.
No, yeah, everybody have a good weekend. If your weekend started already, thanks for joining us, Buck, Miss Brenda, Stacy, Mrs. Taylor. I see you guys on here. Delando, Jesus loves you. Tone, thanks for joining us, and we'll have another one for you next week.
Yeah, actually, next week we won't be here next week, but the following week, the 29th, we'll be back on.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, I have an engagement I have to attend to next week. But we'll be back the following week. Happy Father's Day to everybody. Happy anniversary to me and my wife this weekend.
Happy anniversary.
Years. Yes, sir. Thank you. Love you, baby girl. And Yeah, happy Father's Day to you, Mike. To all the fellas
Same to
out
you.
there, happy. Yep, appreciate it. And we will see you guys back here on the 29th. In the meantime, good night. We love you and enjoy your weekend.
It's out.